Hey, and welcome back to Broken Hearts Heal, where two best friends come together to talk about it all. Friendships, relationships, life, self care, any and everything is on the table. Welcome, BHH. This is a safe place. I am one half of BHH, KP, with the other half,
Ashante,
and welcome to episode 8.
we missed you guys.
We,
Missed you guys.
she missed y'all.
I didn't miss y'all. I have no.
We really did miss
we
y'all.
really missed you guys. It was a busy week last week, and it was just best to just take.
Can I say
off.
something?
Yeah.
I'm very concerned that there's spaghetti on the wall.
Yes. Side note: if you guys ever want to know if your spaghetti is done, throw a piece at the wall.
Okay.
Moving on. This episode, we are going to be talking about being dependent on independence. I think it's a good subject, especially for like young ones who are just branching out to being on their own, whether even if you're still at home, whatever the case may be, living on your own, being dependent on your independence, and the importance of, since you're branching out, asking for help, because we all need help. Yeah. I know I need help. I need help right now. I'm getting help from my friends, and I'm asking, hey, I need this. Can you help me? And it's something that people don't really do because of whatever the case may be. So I don't know if I remember last episode, but Capri put me in a hot seat. So this is all her this week, y'all. She in the hot seat, her seat on fire.
I'm uncomfortable.
So my question is for you. My first question to Capri Jones,
Yo, not the government,
is, do you find it hard to ask for help?
Yes.
Why?
I prefer to deal with my problems by myself, primarily because I know that other people are dealing with their own issues. And so I just kind of feel like keeping them to myself is just my best bet in order to not burden anybody else. But also, sometimes I don't understand what's happening, so I don't want to have to explain that to somebody else. So I just prefer to keep things to myself.
Got you. And that was the most common thing of why people don't ask for help. I saw this quote, and it said, asking for help is especially hard when you know everyone else has something going on.
Right.
Kind of like to your point, like if we know our friends are struggling with something, we're not going to burden them with more,
Right.
Like I asked my friend, I was like, "Oh, are you okay?" He was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm okay, but I just don't want to, I know you got stuff going on." I'm like, "We all got stuff going on, but like, you can't just burden that by yourself." I mean, I got stuff going on too, but like, I don't want my friends to feel like you have too much. I have too much going on to where you can't lean on me, and that's something that Capri does, and it bothers me.
What?
Like I know that she struggles with stuff, and I'm like, you can lean on me, lean on me.
I prefer not to.
When you're not strong.
And it's funny because, can you get my ear? It's funny because I don't remember exactly what I was. Oh, I do know what I was going through. My grandma was in the hospital. I had some other situations that I was trying to figure out earlier in the week. And then it was in a situation where I wasn't getting the answers that I needed to get as far as what was happening. And so I just completely shut down. I think this was like a Friday night. I completely shut down. And I never want Tay to think that it's her.
Mm-hmm.
So I make sure to say goodnight to her anyways. Like, like even if I don't want you to ever think it's you. So I'm always like, okay, let me text her or say I love you, good night, or something like that. And this particular night, I was in the bathroom finishing up, my 40-step skincare routine. And I went to leave the bathroom. And I knew Tay was outside the door. And I went to leave the bathroom to go into my room. And I went back to the bathroom and shut the door. Because I was about to start crying. And I didn't want her to see me crying. So I was like, all right, you got to get it together. You got to pull it together in this bathroom. And then I came back out. I was like, good night. And I just went straight to my room because I didn't want her to see
ran to the room.
I didn't want her to see
but
me.
I could hear it in her voice. Like I knew she was crying. That's why I'm like. And next day, what did I ask you?
She asked me, Capri, why do you feel like you can't be vulnerable around me?
So that's my next question. That just laid so perfectly.
I'm just thinking myself into a hole over
She
here.
is like, I love this for me. Vulnerability. What is that? Like, what is your definition of vulnerability?
I think it's being emotionally available, being open and honest about how you're feeling and being willing to communicate that to others. Sometimes I want to be vulnerable and other times I just don't. It's kind of just I pick and choose when I want to be vulnerable and when I don't.
I feel like that's fair though. I feel like that's very fair because I read. Okay, I am. Y'all know I'm a quotes girl. Like I think
Right.
y'all both know. I think everybody knows that we're
Who's the
quotes.
other person here?
Like BHE.
She's like, I know y'all both
I know y'all.
twinkles.
No, I know y'all know we both are quote girls. So
Right.
I've read this quote about vulnerability. It says, vulnerability is a paradox because the more vulnerable you allow yourself to be, the more powerful you will feel. And I said, yes to that.
She said, yes.
Yes. I said yes because if you allow yourself to feel those feelings enough to share those, I feel like that puts you in the state of you know how you feel. You can share with others how you feel, and that puts you in a position of power, but also in a position of weakness. Why it's a paradox.
Ironic.
On it.
Ironic, isn't it?
Spoke.
I think it's very ironic how you can put vulnerability and power in the same sentence.
Why are you talking? I think it's so
I
funny.
think it's so funny how you can. No, I think it's so.
But do you think it's true though? Do y'all think it's true? Does vulnerability give you a certain power?
Yes.
Why?
I'm going to tell you why.
Speak.
I've had situations in life where I've known people that I'm supposed to feel emotionally safe with, right? Where I've expressed emotions or I've been quote unquote too emotional, and I've been told that my emotions are weakness. I've been told that my emotions.
Who told you that?
I've been told multiple times by not many people, but like multiple different people, specifically men, who have told me that I was too emotional and have made me feel that my emotions were a weakness, which has correlated into my life and making me feel that being emotional and being vulnerable is bad. So I think that's where I get this concept of bottling these things up, keeping them to myself, and not wanting to burden other people. Because even when it's just situations where I just want to be open and honest, like I just want to tell you how I feel or what I'm going through. And then for somebody to like shoot you down and be like, you're being too emotional, it kind of puts you in the headspace mentally like you don't want to, because it's not what people want to hear, because it makes you look weak. When at a time I saw that as being so powerful.
I genuinely feel like that's where people rely too much on their own independence because they have been trained, unconsciously trained to bottle up those emotions, and they feel like, oh well, I have a society that's telling me that being this way is too much for the people around me. But I genuinely feel if we all felt the feelings that we feel and was honest about it, and honest in telling our friends, like, this is what I'm going through, this is the help that I need, can you or can you not assist me? If not, let me know. I don't need you in my life right now.
Exactly. It's like if you can't be there for my vulnerable moments or my emotional moments, why do you deserve me in any other state?
Exactly. Kind of like that saying that if you can't see me at my, well, I can't say it's your worst because sometimes it just needs to be said.
Sometimes it's just a moment, it's just a feeling, an emotion that you just need to express. But I guess that's where it comes in as not feeling like everybody is your safe person.
Oh, absolutely. Another wonderful quote that I saw. It said, vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up, be seen when you have no control over the outcome. Vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's generally a measure of courage. And I felt that
Hmm.
because you have absolutely no control over how someone else sees you, especially after a quote unquote emotional or vulnerable moment. I have seen this child next to me in a very vulnerable situation. She did not know how I was going to react.
Hmm.
But if you have somebody that loves you and is going to be there for you in that vulnerable moment,
I'm not about to cry.
don't cry. Actually, cry. Be vulnerable.
I think that is I'm pretty sure I know the situation you're talking about, and I'm pretty sure that is the most vulnerable I have ever been.
That was the most vulnerable I've ever seen you.
Where I physically, mentally, and emotionally could not control how I felt. I couldn't even hide it. It was one of those situations where, like, the thing about me personally is I be trying to fake it. Like, I'm fine, I'm good, like that didn't bother me. When in reality, that is literally killing me inside.
Yeah.
And this one specific thing hurt me, crushed me so bad. And that there was no hiding it. Yeah. There was no hiding how I felt, especially because this person next to me knew the process that I had been through. With this situation, this circumstance, that she knew that I had hit rock bottom with this situation. Like, that was it for me. Mm-hmm. Woo! That's deep. I was vulnerable. That is most definitely the most vulnerable I think I've ever been in life. Yeah.
And that's sure. Okay. That is okay, because if you don't have those vulnerable moments, I don't think you're personally human. I think you're part of the simulation.
You're not real.
Because that means your life is just perfect. And that's not possible. It's not possible. So have your moments. Don't feel, again, disclaimer, we are not mental health professionals.
We are never claimed to be.
But don't ever feel so reliant on, not reliant, I don't want to say reliant, but so caught up in the societal whatever that you feel like you cannot be vulnerable. Where I don't care where you are. If you at work, go to the bathroom, go cry. I do it all the time. Go to a room. Go to your car. Go home. Go sit in your bed. Have those moments with yourself, because I feel like that helps you grow as a person, and it helps you prove that it's not a weakness, but it's you actually showing courage.
And I personally actually feel sorry for people who feel that being vulnerable is a weakness. Now, we've talked about this before. Actually, this was our first episode, our bonus episode that we had in the beginning of the season. We were talking about our personality test. Mm-hmm. And I'm an ENFJ-T. And one of my friends had posted on Instagram about how ENFJs are like super emotional, like whatever. So like I swiped up and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to cry. Like just to prove his point. But we had this discussion and he was saying that he was talking about how it's seen as a weakness. It's a weakness. Mm-hmm. And that, you allow your emotional being to cloud your judgment. And it's true. I'm like, trust me, I've had my fair share of allowing my emotions to cloud my judgment. Mm-hmm. But the point is that you can be emotional, you can be vulnerable, and still be able to see clearly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I think it's possible if you can control it and not let it control you.
I have a question for y'all, BHAs. I know we have some male listeners. A lot of the times when we as females, I can only speak for me and Capri, when we hear, oh, you're being too emotional, it comes from males, right? Is it because you guys are trained from infancy to be that macho person, like you can't show, like, do you think that's what it is?
They tell us all the time.
Like, oh, I have to be like, I don't cry. And
yeah, we hear that all the time from our male friends. All the time we hear that's just how they grow up, is to not show emotion. And as females, we are not raised like that.
We are not raised like that. We are raised totally opposite.
We are raised, and I guess it kind of depends on how you're raised and as far as like your parents and who your parents are and how like what they taught you as a child and everything. But for me personally, my mom taught me nothing but love, and I've seen her cry, I've seen her had her hard moments and be openly vulnerable about that. And I've never been in a household where I was made to feel bad for having emotions or telling how I felt. So I think that's also why I'm so outspoken. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't grow in a household where that was like it was against that. Like mm-hmm. It was encouraged to speak out and communicate and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think men have it that same way, especially if they grow up with a father mm-hmm. that no, like you're to be the man of the household, you're supposed to take care of this, you're supposed to go to work, you're supposed to take care of the woman. Like that's just like how a lot of them are raised, and that is so sad to me.
Yeah. And I personally like this is where me and Capri differ. So I did have
we grew up different.
Very different. So I would say like I've had to learn how to be vulnerable. Like she has taught me a lot about vulnerability. I'm not gonna. Do you think I'm outspoken?
No. And yes.
I don't think I'm outspoken.
You aren't outspoken.
Speak a lot.
You talk a lot, but there's a difference between talking a lot and being outspoken.
Yeah.
No, I do not see you as an outspoken person.
Because the way I was brought up, it was very military, very like wait your turn to speak, speak when spoken to kind of thing. So I had to learn that like growing up. And if that's the case, that's okay too. Cause I didn't learn that at a younger age. I learned that growing up, teenage years, adult years. Like it's whatever time you realize that it's okay to be vulnerable, that is what it is. Just don't let that stop you from being vulnerable. And we're not saying like go out to the middle of the street and just start crying. I mean,
no, that's not what vulnerability
we're saying.
is.
But like,
that's not what it is at all.
Well, if you do that, that's up to you.
That's just crying. Like that's not. I think this is what I think.
Speak
specifically with men, because this is who I've had these conversations with. Like we have guy friends who talk about women being overly emotional and things like this. I think what happens is men confuse emotions, being vulnerable, with hearing what they don't want to hear. You're being too emotional. You're over exaggerating. No, I'm telling you about who you are and what I don't like about you. That's not being emotional, sweetie.
Why you looking at me?
That's not being emotional. Anytime I'm trying to say,
yeah,
like you tell somebody how you feel about something, like, oh, I don't like this about you,
or asking like assertive questions.
That's
what it is.
That's what it is.
Because me and Capri are very assertive. That's what it is.
Obviously.
And when we be like, this is what it is, XYZ,
and
ABC,
this is what it ain't. Why you so emotional?
It's like that. It's like listen. It's like that long paragraph. Everything is detailed. And be like, what you mean?
Or it's like you say all this is like, K.
Huh? Moment of silence.
I'ma head out,
baby. Can I?
I think that's an excuse. Like calling us emotional because
I'm so sorry.
Well, guys, I had to cut out a portion of the podcast because Ashante got a little too wordy.
I got riled up.
She got riled up. The men's got her riled up. I had to take out a portion. But sometimes I think that is an excuse. I'm not saying this for all guys. I'm just saying for some, I feel like that's an excuse to say that, oh, you're just being extra.
Let me ask you a question. When it comes to people, just in general, men, women, kids, dogs, whatever.
Twinkles.
R.I.P. She is not dead. But she probably sleeping. Do you find it difficult to let people in? Let me answer that. I'm just kidding.
In what way?
just in general, like whether if it's like a new friendship, whether if it's like cultivating a relationship, whatever the case may be, even with family, do you find it hard to let them in?
It depends on what I'm letting them into.
Okay.
What part of me am I letting someone into? Because I think of myself as a very open person, to an extent, but I'm not going to just start off with my DB darkies like when I 1st meet you. You know what I'm saying? Like there has to be some form of trust that's earned there.
Yeah.
Or, like I said, feeling emotionally safe in order for me to do so. Like I'm not going to go to some stranger on the street and be like, let me tell you my whole life story.
But those sometimes that be the best conversation.
People tell me life stories, even though I don't be asking for them.
Literally,
But all right, pop
every
off.
day, all day.
Pop off. I didn't ask, but I pray for you.
The reason why I ask is because there is a study that said people don't let people in because of 5 basic reasons.
Can I give you one?
Yes.
Can I get a hint?
It starts with an H. End with a break.
Heartbreak.
Heartbreak. Ooh. Anxiety, trauma, heartbreak, ridicule, betrayal.
I agree so much with the 4th one.
Ridicule.
Ridicule.
Ooh.
We talked about this before.
Did we?
We talked about this before in the episode with Rodney. I kind of touched on it a little bit. The fact that I won't speak on anything if I feel like I'm going to be judged.
Okay, you did.
That's one of my big things. The kind of people we are. I will tell you something about Tay and I. We don't judge people. I will proudly say that about us. We give every single person that comes into our lives a chance. Mm-hmm. That's despite what anybody else has previously told us about a person. We've had situations where people are like, oh, such and such is going to be there. Well, this is what I know about such and such. And it's like, well, we haven't gotten that impression from them. So we're going to keep hanging out with them. We never go based off what somebody has told us. And I really appreciate that about us. And we talk about this all the time. We don't. Go ahead.
I don't feel like us as humans are in any position to judge someone else. Mm-hmm. If somebody looked into your skeletons, would you want them to judge you for it? Because we all got skeletons, whether if it's a half skeleton, a whole skeleton, a full dead body, okay, a little bit of a corpse, a little cat skeleton. We all got something.
Why are you trying to kill Twinkles?
Because I met this really nice cat, y'all, and I really want to bring her home. Anyways, I just feel like we have no position to judge someone.
No.
And if you think about, like, if you go into a room, would you want somebody to judge you off of never meeting you? That's how I look at it.
It's not fair. You have to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and we all make mistakes. But like you said, none of us are in a position to judge anybody. Now, if somebody personally has done something to me that is different, mm-hmm. Okay?
Like if I've experienced it.
If I experienced it, that's different. Then I can make, but my thing is, I want to make my decision the way I want to make my decision, not because of a decision that somebody has already wrote somebody off and they want me to do the same. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. Because like I said, when it comes to vulnerability, one of my biggest things is the ridicule of being judged about a past or a mistake or whatever. I don't want to be judged. So if you don't want to be judged, you don't judge.
Exactly.
You don't judge if you don't want to be judged.
That was so well said. Like I kind of got lost in the words. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like she was talking, I was
If you don't want to be judged, don't judge other people because it's not fair.
It's not.
It's not fair. If you know what it's like to be judged, why would you want to do that to somebody else? And that goes again, vulnerability.
Because vulnerability it has a lot of layers. It's a paradox. I say that I love that it's a paradox because it's so many layers. Like you can open up the box of vulnerability, and it can be one thing to somebody and something to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And that is what it is. There is not one thing to it, But it's important to let others in if you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, don't let those people in your life or in your circle. If people hurt you, don't hurt them back. Don't judge people. What is that going to accomplish? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't accomplish anything. And
break the hate. Sorry, I had an intrusive thought.
So, all in all, I just want to say that if anybody has ever made you feel bad for being vulnerable or being open about how you feel, I'm sorry, but don't let them make you think that's a weakness.
Please don't.
That is a total strength to be in tune with your feelings, and
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's being in tune with your
It's being
feelings.
in
It's not a
tune.
weakness. It's like, I know my emotions and I know what they mean. And I know how to control them. Like, that's what it is. It's being in tune with what you feel and understanding it. And some people don't understand emotions. They don't understand what they feel, why they feel it, and they think it's a weakness because it is something that can overwhelm you. So all in all, I just think that we shouldn't be made to feel like that's a weakness, but I think it totally is a strength. But guys,
This is vulnerability at its finest.
yeah.
Being in tune with your feelings. Feel those feelings to the most extent you possibly can, and don't let anyone make you feel bad about it. And if they do,
Send it to BHH, episode 8, vulnerability at its finest.
Copy link, send message.
DM us. We'll personally send it.
Absolutely.
But guys, thank you so much always for tuning in to BHH. Remember that you can always catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor Podcast, as well as all other podcast platforms. Check out our Instagram at BHH Pod, as well as the link in our bio for our link tree that has both our YouTube, our social media, as well as our BHH merch. Use code BHH for 10% off. Tay, what would you like to say to close out this episode?
We love you. Thank you so much. We missed you last week, but we are back for another 2 episodes, and then it'll be the close of season 4. Crazy, right?
Yes.
But thank you so much, guys, for all the support, and we will see you guys next week for a new episode.
Bye.